Chapter 1658. Coco regretted his suggestion a little. But Lin Feng acted as though nothing had happened. He was still playing with his plush toy. He didn't play games anymore because he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to let it go if he met it again. He probably still felt regret. But sometimes in the group chat, Zhao Sanpang no longer called himself the most handsome person in the world on live stream. Instead, he would call people over for a meal every day, insisting that he had researched a new dish. The picture he sent was actually an eggplant pot. It seemed like the most ordinary life. But there were still people who would dig for information about him. Lin Feng didn't care. He just needed to make up for the losses the Lin family suffered because of him. This was probably his goal in life. He used to be fearless. Now he was afraid that the truth would never be seen. He, who had lost his courage, would never be the same as before even if he picked up the mouse again. Because the important people were gradually retiring. All he could do was cherish them. The news would never stop, being created and reinvented, adapted and rewritten, using everything. In reality, the things behind were too dark. In this world, as long as you felt that what you did was right and what you presented was right, it didn't matter how despicable your methods were. No one would think too deeply about it. After all, it was complicated. Lin Feng couldn't forget why he joined the Supreme Alliance. Because there was a person here. Even if the world was chaotic and he had suffered a lot, he wouldn't become the kind of person he didn't want to be. Lin Feng smiled, his gaze landing on the cold and elegant figure. Was this the reason Little Spade liked this person so much? How many people in the world could maintain the same state of mind? Incorruptible to darkness, immune to poison. Their captain seemed to just stand there. It made people feel that the future was bright. A dazzling person never stayed in a greenhouse, ignorant of the world. But his heart had come into contact with all the darkness. But he insisted on the path he wanted to follow. As long as the Supreme Alliance was still in his heart. As long as there were people who were sad and felt that they couldn't walk out of it, they would be filled with strength when they thought of this name. The rest didn't seem that important. That day, the group went to many places. They even took many photos. When they left, they didn't turn back. Only Mo Bei was there, carrying a small school bag, looking at the person who still had a wanton smile on her face. She knew that her master would only be overseas in the future. The only thing he felt upset about was, he had never fought with this person on the same battlefield. After all the Supreme Alliance members returned to China. The first thing Feng Yi wanted to announce was the disbandment of the team. He was still dressed in a suit, with gold-rimmed glasses and a smile on his face. No one was willing to accept the news. The doubters were still doubting. Someone even said, "Supreme Alliance is different to me. I don't want to be a fan of these players anymore since they were disbanded for no reason." No matter what it was, Feng Yi just listened and didn't say a word after listening. It would definitely set off a wave of discussions. There were those who understood and those who did not. Feng Yi wasn't worried about anything else. Before he returned to the country, Z had talked to him and asked him to make arrangements for Tiny. With the little guy's strength, he should be able to enter any team. It was just that it was too chaotic at this time. The Supreme Alliance disbanded. Teams of imitators popped up endlessly. Chapter 1659. In the end, someone said that it was impossible for a gaming team not to know about Supreme Alliance. It was impossible for the champions of the Asian Cup not to know. The other party would say, "Oh, I just checked and found out. What does it have to do with us?" Feng Yi had expected such a situation. Probably no one would understand. If he really liked her, he had to restrain himself. The other party made use of emotional impulses to create opinions and create topics of discussion. Mo Bei looked at the 2 days after the Supreme Alliance disbanded. She had been dealing with such matters almost every day. She made the decision to not join any team. Hence, when Feng Yi wanted to bring Mo Bei to the club under the group, Mo Bei lifted her little face. Uncle Feng, I joined the Supreme Alliance because of you guys. Now that the Supreme Alliance has disbanded, I want to learn a skill that I can use in the future. Feng Yi paused and looked back. You don't play games anymore? Mo Bei hummed in acknowledgement. Feng Yi wanted to say something. However, Mo Bei spoke before him, with me here, there will only be more discussions. It's good that Elder Lin and Master are like this now. Because of me, Uncle Feng has to continue to be busy and deal with these topics. Feng Yi pushed his gold-rimmed glasses up his nose. It's not as complicated as you think. I saw it all. Mo Bei's gaze was deep. Now, there are people using Supreme Alliance to talk about things, good and bad, imitating and belittling it. I thought people who like it would differentiate and tolerate it, but now I understand that these are forcing people against their will because people will be impulsive because they like it and those invisible things will slowly brew. Probably because she wasn't old enough, Mo Bei furrowed her brows when she said this. Her little face was clear and indifferent. It's very complicated. Feng Yi lowered his lids. It would be a pity if you don't play professionally. There are many people who aren't suited to be professional players but are clamoring to play professionally. However, this is the first time I know that you want to learn skills other than gaming. Mo Bei didn't speak. She was still carrying a school bag on her back. Feng Yi chuckled. With young Master Qin and Z tutoring you, your studies shouldn't be too difficult. My mentality isn't good. Mo Bei's face was rather serious. I want to calm down. Feng Yi really laughed this time. Your master is right, little old cadre. What technology do you plan to learn? Chef. Mo Bei looked up. Cooking is the same as playing games. It can make people happy. Feng Yi's gaze was indifferent, as though he wanted to smoke. I can handle the current situation. You don't have to make such a decision now. Little one, you have to believe that your Uncle Feng can still fight. I believe you. Mo Bei's voice was a little low. Captain, he disbanded the Supreme Alliance because he didn't want to fight anymore, right? If we continue to fight, we will only disappoint Senior Lin and the others. Captain wants to keep the things in their hearts. Feng Yi's back trembled. After a long time, he said, don't be against playing esports just because of this. I won't. Mo Bei's small body stood there with her back straight. I like to play games. I like to follow behind Master. I like to be with Senior Lin and the others. I don't have any conflicts because that is playing esports. Now that Master and the others are tired and want to rest, I want to rest too. Feng Yi's phone was ringing. The contracted team was rushing him. Have you really decided? Feng Yi asked. Chapter 1660. Feng Yi tugged his collar and sent a rejection message to the other side. Bei's official appearance was also temporarily cancelled in the afternoon. No one knew what the Supreme Alliance's pet looked like. The only thing left were some videos of Bei's game characters. When she walked out of the club, Mo Bei didn't bring anything with her. Instead, she placed the keyboard that she had been carrying on her back in front of a seat. When she heard that the Supreme Alliance had disbanded, the little princess of the Yun family, Yun Shen, ran over to accompany her little friend. Because she knew that Mo Bei wouldn't feel good. This kind of thing couldn't be let go just because she said so. It was raining and the screen was still playing the Supreme Alliance's video. Yunshin asked the driver to stop the car and saw the figure standing by the side of the road. She raised her head and looked at the screen in the square. Her eyes chased after the figures. Many years later. Perhaps no one remembered them. But she remembered. That pair of burning eyes started to bury her emotions bit by bit. She said that she wouldn't play games anymore. At that time, she was too young and her eyes were red. Yunshin didn't understand anything, but one thing was clear to her. No matter what decision anyone made, it was to protect. When the decision to disband was made, Qin Mo told Feng Yi. Depending on which team they wanted to go to, whether they wanted to stay in the industry or do something else, they could find the corresponding company. After being a professional player for so many years, everyone had their own savings. There wasn't much to worry about in this aspect. Only Rao Rong didn't have any funds, but the things that he knew were incomparable to ordinary people. Lin Feng had asked him to be the product technical director several times. Uncle Ian had even thrown the internet cafe to him. Rao Rong basically had to busy himself here and there. But that face didn't change at all. When he smiled, his eyes were half-curved. When he didn't smile, he was cold and handsome. After everyone took off their uniforms, they didn't touch the mouse or keyboard again. We always had a kind of panic. We were afraid that we would become the most inconspicuous one among the masses. We were afraid that mediocrity would wear away our youthful spirit. Only later did we realize that those things were under our eyes. But because we cherished it too much, we would use maturity to explain it. Yao Yao was one of them. She was different from before. Many teams would come over to poach her and offer a high price. She didn't agree. University was about to start. Life would definitely be different. Because they were going to change cities. If she stayed here, she would always think of the days when she went to the internet cafe with Coco and the others to get instant noodles. In the past, Yao Yao's academic results were above average, but ever since they went to tutor together, she directly ascended. Sometimes, she would always think of that silver-haired youth with a lollipop in his mouth and a book covering his face. Occasionally, he would be hit by the captain. Then, he would find an excuse not to do the physics questions. With a handsome face, he would walk over to her, point out the mistakes in her answers, and teach her a simpler way to solve the questions. The day before Shui Yao Yao left the Jiang family. It was the official transfer of power by the Jiang family. In other words, the entire Jiang family would be inherited by Jiang Zhua. Therefore, many people came. For such a grand occasion, brilliant lights, fine wine, and delicacies were all indispensable. There was very low clear music playing at the scene. This time, the commercial atmosphere was quite strong. Chapter 1661. Jiang Zhuo wouldn't agree to such a thing. He stood there shaking his wine glass, looking a little unapproachable. Many people said that Jiang Zhuo had changed. Because in the past, young Master Jiang was basically the type who would never be touched by a single leaf. He would never be cold to a girl. Like a central air conditioner? But it didn't have the temperature of a central air conditioner and was just a polite rejection. To a certain extent, he was considered a scumbag. But some rumors couldn't be trusted. Even though Jiang Zhuo was a scumbag, he had never been close to her. Now, he seemed to have something on his mind and wasn't even paying attention. Father Jiang walked over helplessly, not knowing what to do with his son who had been estranged since a long time ago. You have to meet her. Father Jiang lowered his voice. Business is business. Jiang Zhuo was still cold towards his father. Why? You want to sell me? The Jiang family doesn't need such a model anymore. I see that you have been in a bad mood recently, you are really. Father Jiang didn't know what to say and tilted his head in anger. Jiang Zhuo paused. Why don't I see them? Don't you dislike seeing your auntie? She is upstairs with little Hung, Yao Yao is leaving tomorrow. Father Jiang sighed. Dad's things will be yours in the future. I didn't let your mother down, I am really old and don't want to be alone in my old age. Jiang Zhuo glanced up. How do you explain what happened previously? Father Jiang drank a mouthful of champagne. I was promiscuous, but not when your mother was sick. Why don't you believe me? When she left, I felt worse than you. Jiang Zhuo didn't speak. Once his mother left, this man quickly found someone. That was the truth. Father Jiang knew what his son was concerned about and didn't defend himself. Perhaps even he felt that he was a scumbag. He had liked someone so much before. But less than a month after she left, he liked someone else. Maybe he was too lonely then. But regardless of the excuse, it was irreversible. This has nothing to do with your auntie. She just wanted to start a family when she met someone. Jiang Zhuo looked at his father. If you say it has nothing to do with it, then it has nothing to do with it. When you rebuilt your family, did you think about what you destroyed? All the good feelings he had for her. Everything was gone. She and her family were the thing that broke it all. That was why he did what he did at that time. Because this person would never think of those who went to heaven again. In this world, he was the only one who remembered that before she left, she told him to listen to his father. Hence, Jiang Zhuo couldn't forgive her. Even if he regretted it, it was useless. Perhaps, I'm the same as you. Who asked me to be your son? We're both scum. Jiang Zhuo chuckled and walked over. Father Jiang was even more worried. Recently, his son was no longer rebellious, but was unbelievably quiet. What exactly happened? Jiang Zhuo just found it boring. His father said that he loved him. But when he held his new son, he smiled more happily than anyone else. There seemed to be a kind of stubbornness that only single-parent children could understand. However, such stubbornness would often hurt oneself. No one noticed how lonely Jiang Zhuo was as he walked on the dance floor. Chapter 1662. Every freshman was more or less the same. During the summer vacation, while completely relaxed, there was also an indescribable sense of loss. His high school life was finally over. Those test papers that he wanted to finish day and night. Sometimes when reading a book, he would touch the table with his head. It was a very ordinary life. But because in those bits and pieces, there was the shadow of an important person. The day before he left, he had to pack his luggage. Shui Yaoyao looked at the black and red uniform. Her fingers paused for a moment before she hung it in the innermost part of the wardrobe and put it away. Mother Shui was very reluctant. Why do you have to go so far away? It's not like we don't have good universities here. Shui Yaoyao smiled. It's more professional there. Mother Shui knew that it wasn't because of this that her daughter chose to study in another city. But there didn't seem to be any reason to stop him. After all, she knew in her heart that after marrying into the Jiang family, she, as his daughter, would be the one who would be slandered the most. After Shui Yaoyao took her things, she planned to go to the base. She wanted to spend her last day with Coco and the rest. It was said that Coco would be leaving soon as well. He wouldn't be competing anymore and would be going back to inherit the family business. In the future, it would be in a different city. She was fine. The place she went to was a coastal city in the south, and the students didn't feel much pressure from the competition. It was hard to imagine Coco in a suit. Shui Yaoyao smiled and picked up her luggage. Considering that there were too many people in front of him, he took the back door. Mother Shui and Yaoyao's little brother saw them off from behind. However, he didn't expect the two of them to go up. At the corner, Shui Yaoyao saw the figure leaning against the wall. After seeing her, Jiang Zhuo glanced over. The two of them had not spoken for a long time. Now that they were standing face to face, they felt like strangers. But Shui Yaoyao was really different from before. It seemed that the embodiment of maturity was that even when facing the past, you could still act like an adult. He greeted her calmly. Because in this relationship, you're not the one with regrets. I'm going, Shui Yaoyao said with a smile. Jiang Zhuo clenched his fists and replied faintly, Shui Yaoyao took a step forward. The moment they brushed past each other, his wrist was grabbed by someone. It's not like there aren't good universities here. When Jiang Zhua said this, his voice was hoarse. Didn't I arrange it for you? If you want to hide from me, there's no need to go to another city. That contract is over. What else do you think I will do to you? Shui Yaoyao paused. To a certain extent, she understood Jiang Zhua. After all, she used to know what he was thinking. In this situation, he was merely trying to keep her. Shui Yaoyao was indeed a little surprised, but there were other emotions. It's not because of you. I've really lost a lot of weight. In the past, I didn't even dare to think about it. You guys are all amazing, the kind that you were born with, but I'm different. My family background and appearance are so ordinary that I can't be any more ordinary. I'm even known as the damned fatty in people's mouths. A long time ago, I really felt that hard work was useless. I liked to fantasize that I was Cinderella who would meet her Prince Charming. It wasn't until I met that person that I realized that I had to drink more poisonous chicken soup. She said that she was obsessed with appearance. If you can't even maintain your best condition, how can you let others discover you? She said that there are always some things in this world that you have to do by yourself. I understand now. If you want to be outstanding, you can't blame others. Chapter 1663. Jiang Zhua had never felt the need to let go as he did now. Actually, it wasn't impossible to stop her. She cared about her family the most. He just had to make use of this. Jiang Zhua had been a businessman since he was young. Lingering in the bushes and scheming was similar to Feng Yi. But at this moment, he let go. When he turned his head, his voice was low. I'll get the driver to send you. Okay. Shui Yaoyao didn't argue since it wasn't easy to get a cab here. Jiang Zhua didn't send her off because he knew that if he followed her any longer, he would do something he would regret. But the confident her was so beautiful that it made him feel uncomfortable. University life. How many people would he meet? The moment he thought of this, young Master Jiang, who had always been a strategist, couldn't remain calm. He watched as the car disappeared into the night. Jiang Zuozai slammed his hand into a tree beside him. His knuckles were broken and blood flowed out. But he didn't seem to notice it. If the butler hadn't come out to tell him that he was going back to cut the cake, he wouldn't have known that his young master was injured. Oh my God! The butler inhaled sharply, hurrying over with a cloth to bandage the wound. Jiang Zhua took the cloth and wrapped it around a few times, his emotions calm. It's okay, go in. Young master. The butler was still worried, but he understood why his young master was like this. To him, if one didn't understand a person's life, they wouldn't understand why they had such thoughts. The original family had left a deep mark on them. No one had taught him what to do when he liked someone. That made him feel that love was the most useless thing in the world. If not, why would he find someone else? And not long after Madame passed away. The more one cared about relationships, the more they would be stuck in a dead end. He really needed someone to soften him up. The butler knew that Miss Yao Yao was the most suitable, even though their statuses weren't suitable. But to reorganize the family, they weren't related by blood. If Miss Yao Yao could forgive his young master, that would be great. In the past, when he had sent his young master to school, he had interacted with Miss Yao Yao. At that time, young master was very concerned about him. Although he didn't say it, he would always take an extra portion of breakfast, saying that fat people eat more. Others might think that he was mocking them, but those who were familiar with the young master would know that he would never say such words to someone he didn't care about. At that time, young master's personality was already very gentle. It was probably because she couldn't accept that Miss Yao Yao's mother had become the new madam. Many people said that they needed to be understanding. But no one understood young master anymore. The butler heaved a long sigh. At the party, everyone was clapping and smiling. Jiang Zhua sliced the cake with one hand. Was his life going to be like this? Every day when he woke up, he would be on guard. There would be no shortage of people by his side, but he could no longer feel anything, the other side. I heard Yao Yao is going to study in another city. The number 1 RMB player in Zone C, Feng Shang, bought a lot of bags for her. Coco commented, shallow. Then he pulled the rabbit behind him and put it in Yao Yao's hand. In the future, let my little brother accompany you. This is not mine, I want to hug it to sleep. You don't need to worry, it is not dirty. Chapter 1664. You make it sound as though you haven't eaten it before. Coco glanced over. It was always lively when they were together. Now that Uncle Ian had gone out to play, the responsibility naturally fell onto Rao Rong. But compared to Uncle Ian who would cook noodles for them, Rao Rong was much more violent. He rolled up the magazine and knocked on it, still smiling. Can you guys send Yao Yao off happily? It really hurts. Coco covered his head. If I'm not smart, who am I going to look for? Rao Rong adjusted his clothes. Look for your parents to inherit the family fortune. Coco. Can we stop talking about this topic? Rao Rong chuckled lightly, raising his hand to pass the things he prepared to Shui Yao Yao. Medicine bag, healing type, you will need it in school. You're playing as a sorcerer and you even want medicine bags in real life. Coco couldn't prove his existence if he didn't ridicule him. But Coco's level wasn't enough for Rao Rong. Looking at the commotion in front of her, Shui Yao Yao knew that even after some people left, they wouldn't forget each other in their respective fields. When we were young, we were always anxious to grow up. We thought that once we grew up, we would have the ability to solve everything ourselves. But once we entered university, we would understand. The road beneath our feet was never simple. There was separation, darkness, unexpected encounters, and a future that couldn't be seen even if we lifted our eyes. But even so, we had to continue on. That was Shui Yao Yao, breaking free and starting her university life. Before she left, she met someone who used to like Jiangzhua at the high-speed rail station. That person said lightly, Supreme Alliance disbanded, let's see who else will support you. Shui Yao Yao looked at him, her eyes turning darker and darker. When it reached a certain level, she didn't say a word, just pulling her luggage and brushing past him. There were too many feelings, some people didn't understand, so she didn't say anything. In her heart, Supreme Alliance had never disbanded. The only one. An irreplaceable existence. That youngster with the devilish smile, she would remember him the moment she closed her eyes. The way he ate hot pot, the curve of his lips when he played games, and even when he stood in the darkest place. Even when he lost, the light in his eyes never extinguished. It was as though he was telling everyone. We can make a comeback. Shui Yao Yao glanced at the scenery outside the car. Liking seemed to never be fixed. Shui Yao Yao knew that very soon, there would be a new team. People's attention would be placed elsewhere. But at the same time, she believed that for some people, Supreme Alliance was a memory etched in their hearts. She left. In the car, Jiangzhua lowered his head. His hair fell down and covered his eyes, making it impossible to read his emotions. The housekeeper looked at the young master who didn't have much energy today and sighed, yes, Miss Yao Yao is already in the car. Jiang's slender hands tightened and then loosened. His Adam's apple moved as he said with difficulty, let's go. Okay. The butler started the car. Jiangzhua took out his phone and opened the profile picture. In the end, he didn't send a message wishing her a safe journey. Instead, when she saw that Qin Mo had decided to stay overseas temporarily for the sake of a certain someone, her eyes flashed. Chapter 1665. The next day. It was sunny. See University. Compared to the north, the air was much more humid. When Shui Yao Yao alighted from the car, she realized that there were many kapok trees here. they couldn't be seen in the north. C University was famous for its greenery. It was known as one of the most beautiful campuses. Half of it had mountains and half of it had water. Film crews often came here to film. No one here knew who Shui Yaoyao was. It wasn't that Shui Yaoyao didn't have fans, but not everyone watched esports. Moreover, Shui Yaoyao changed her hairstyle and lost 5 to 6 kilograms compared to the last time she competed. University started and everyone who experienced it knew. There were many seniors welcoming the new students. Of course, there were many cars at the school gate. Most of them were sent by their parents. There were also those like Shui Yaoyao, who came with their own luggage. But after a few steps, from afar, she heard someone say, "Junior, Junior, you came alone? We are here to welcome the new students. Let me carry your luggage." Shui Yaoyao wanted to say no. But the person didn't even give her a chance to speak. "Don't be so polite, just call me senior." With that, he revealed a row of white teeth. He was handsome and bright. Shui Yaoyao thought that this should be normal university life. "Thank you. You don't have to, we welcome the new students to provide convenience for the juniors." The person was still smiling. A guy rushed over. "Only for the juniors? You don't care about them? This junior is alone. I don't believe you, you must think that she's pretty. It's wrong of you to think that way." "That's what I thought, I'll send her." The guy snatched the luggage and smiled at Shui Yaoyao. "Junior, where are you from? You don't have a boyfriend, right? You must be single since you're so pretty. F***ck, you're too much. It's rare for a pretty girl to come and you want to interfere." The more Shui Yaoyao listened, the more she found it interesting. She lowered her lids and smiled. The two of them were stunned when they saw that smile. They had just been far away when they saw this girl. Carrying a suitcase, she walked straight ahead with a smile on her face, looking very gentle. Nowadays, there weren't many girls like her. Even if she was like a green tea, she would still be likable, right? But when he saw her smile, he felt that she was not green tea. Green tea should be blushing at this moment. Seeing that they were looking at her, Shui Yaoyao said, "I can carry the luggage myself. There's nothing inside, and I'll just follow the crowd and I'll be able to find the girls' dormitory. I won't trouble you guys, thank you." He left just like that. The two of them looked at each other and were about to step forward. He heard a voice by his ear, "Who's that?" "Who? A new junior? Wait, F***ck, it can't be. Don't tell me you're interested in her." That person glared at him. "The girls of C University will cry if they find out about this." The newcomer smiled. When the corners of his mouth curled up, there was a hint of coolness. "It's incredible that I'm interested in people. No, this new junior sister is indeed pretty, but you don't even pay attention to our school bell. Why are you interested in her here?" Chapter 1666. Yaoyao didn't know that someone was interested in her. She pulled her luggage into the dorm. University dorms were usually for 4 people. There were 2 layers of beds and a common desk near the window. Southern universities had a strong design concept. Some new dorms would be like graduate dorms, each bed would have a small table that could be stretched out. Shui Yaoyao looked at the bunk beds that were completely different from high school. She truly realized that this was the start of her new life. The moment Shui Yaoyao came in, a cute girl on the upper bunk said, "Wow, another pretty girl came in. Our dorm room is really pretty." Beauty? Shui Yaoyao had never been called that before. But she couldn't deny her beauty after losing weight. After hearing that, Shui Yaoyao couldn't help but laugh. Senior Lin Feng used to say, "Little Spade, let's form a boy group and debut. Since we're so handsome, let's bring Zhao Sanpang along. He'll be in charge of praising our boy group." Senior Lin Feng used to say, "Little Spade, let's make a debut as a boy group." With that thought, Shui Yaoyao paused, not allowing her thoughts to continue. She lifted her head and looked at the girl. "Hello, I'm Shui Yaoyao." "I know." The girl with a doll's head glanced over. "There are names here, I'll stay on the upper bunk, Li Tao, you can call me Peach." Shui Yaoyao chuckled. "Peach. Beautiful, you're too beautiful." Li Tao chuckled. "I'm going to the school's website to sign up. By the way, our pretty dorm is super high." "That's not a good idea." The girl who had just made the bed wore glasses and was very artistic. "Who would praise their own dorm? Peach, stop fooling around." Yu is right." Li Tao was naive. "Then shouldn't we go to the dorm for a meal on our first day?" The girl named Yu nodded. "That's possible. What about Yao Yao?" Li Tao tilted her head. Shui Yaoyao smiled. "I'm fine too, I can head out after tidying up. Then we're left with our goddess Zi Xian." Li Tao lifted her head, looking at the girl who was doing makeup in front of the mirror. "Are you going?" Zi Xian turned around. She was indeed beautiful, with an indescribable temperament. "Of course. That's great. Let me see if there are any recommendations on the school's website." Just like every girl entering college life, Shui Yaoyao listened to the chatter in the dorm and began her most ordinary life. It was different from how he used to look forward to playing another match every day. Now, there seemed to be a sense of a long and thin stream of water. Generally speaking, there were many small restaurants near the university. Especially in the student city, there were many restaurants with good food and reasonable prices. Li Tao quickly locked onto one of the restaurants because it was decorated in a small and clean manner. It was also a place to eat skewers. The school website said that this restaurant is really good. Most importantly, handsome guys and pretty girls love coming here. Li Tao winked at Shui Yaoyao and the others, reaching out to push open the door. Needless to say, it was indeed very popular. In addition, there were many new students today. It was their first day meeting each other, so they all wanted to have a meal together. The weather was hot. Of course, it was better to eat in an air-conditioned place like this. Therefore, there were even more people. "We won't have to queue for a long time, will we?" Chapter 1667. Shui Yaoyao turned her head and smiled. "Senior?" Yaoyao turned her head and smiled. "Senior?" Shui Yaoyao turned her head and smiled. "Senior?" That person wasn't anyone else, it was the first person Shui Yaoyao met when she entered the school gate. "Your dorm?" Shui Yaoyao nodded. The person laughed. "It seems like all good-looking people stay in the same dorm, for example, our dorm is the same." Hearing his words, Li Tao and the others laughed. "You can't find a seat, right? Junior, wait a moment, I'll talk to 4. "No, let's sit together," the person said quickly, turning and walking over. Li Tao asked, "Yaoyao, this senior is so funny. How do you know each other, were you friends before?" "No, he's the senior who welcomes the new students." Shui Yaoyao was impressed by his friendliness. He was indeed passionate but also interesting. Li Tao nodded and then blinked. "We just met once and he's already so close." "Yaoyao, could he be?" She didn't finish her sentence. A voice came from the other side. That person waved his hand. "Junior sisters, come over here. We can make a table for 4 more people. You girls are thin, so it won't take up too much space." No one didn't like such words. Not to mention the cheerful Li Tao, even the quiet you couldn't help but laugh. "Are we going?" Shui Yaoyao still had to ask for her roommate's opinion. Even though the girls had different personalities, they were all quite generous. "Of course. Let's go." Shui Yaoyao started walking. It wasn't a big deal, but when they were about to reach the table, Li Tao suddenly exclaimed. "Oh my God, why is it him?" Who? Ah, you asked. Li Tao didn't dare to point. "Look at the most handsome person sitting at the table, he's C University's famous school hunk, he's a first-class protected animal. Not only is he good at everything, he looks like a celebrity. I was just looking at the school's website, I didn't expect the heavens to let me see him in person." Hearing Li Tao's words, the others all looked over. The quiet you blushed. "I've heard of him too. He's 2 years older than us and has always been quite popular. School hunk Lin Yang, even the professors like him." "The one in the white shirt?" After Zi Xian sized him up for a while, she smiled and said, "He does look good. Does he have a girlfriend?" "Zixuan, why are you so direct?" Li Tao lowered her voice. "I can tell you that he hasn't. Senior seems to be quite busy recently and hasn't been particularly close to anyone." Shui Yaoyao was amused by their conversation. After all, when he was with that person, no matter how handsome a guy was, no one would look at him. His gaze would only land on that person. Amazement seemed to always be used to describe that person. Silver hair, arrogant handsomeness, lazy and gentle. It could be said responsibly. After seeing such a person, it was rare for Shui Yaoyao to think that someone was stunning. As time went by, he became the least excited one. However, it could be seen. The person sitting at the dining table was not bad looking. Even in such a noisy environment, he had his own aura. Chapter 1668. The senior on the other side said, "Old Four, I brought him here." What did that mean? Li Tao and the others exchanged glances, feeling that those words were a little ambiguous. "All right, sit down quickly. Be careful that number 4 doesn't guide you through the information." Lin Yang just smiled and looked up at Shui Yaoyao. "Our dorm is more lively. Talk to Yaoyao alone?" Zi Xian basically understood. She nudged Li Tao with a smile. Li Tao was enlightened by Zi Xian, the love expert. The two of them exchanged glances and felt that there was a chance. The skewers went into the pot. The boy was indeed cheerful. "Let me introduce myself, I'm Zhang Yang. As for the other 3, I have to brag about my number 4, the school treasure. C University has a lot of information about him, you can go take a look," Li Tao said softly, "I've already seen it." Zhang Yang laughed. "I don't need to say more, isn't he handsome in real life? He can sell his photos, right? Brother Zhang." Lin Yang glanced down. This person was much more restrained. "Where is number 4, he gets shy easily. Let's talk about something else." "Oh right, where are you guys from?" Lin Mao. Huijin. Local. Jiang City. After Shui Yaoyao finished speaking, Zhang Yang knocked his head. "Jiang City, why does it sound so familiar?" "You must be kidding, how can it not sound familiar? It's obvious on the map." "Junior, why didn't you study in Jiang City, why did you come here? After all, the admission cutoff for C University and that school shouldn't be too far apart." Shui Yaoyao chuckled. "I've never left home before, I wanted to try living independently." "You have an idea?" Zhang Yang tilted his head and looked at Lin Yang. "Just like our number 4, his family is local but he insisted on staying in school, saying it's to train himself." Lin Yang didn't retort this time, he was still smiling. Zhang Yang felt that it was rare to see him so satisfied with a girl. He began closing the distance between them with all his might. Shui Yaoyao listened at the side, occasionally placing the skewers into her bowl. She recalled the time when a group of people ate skewers, drank wine, and dipped into hot pot. That person took care of her. There were many. He helped her snatch the meat, helped her hide the wine bottle, and finally propped up the side of his face. The tears under his eyes were clearly visible. These, because many things, were gone. Shui Yaoyao always thought that starting a new life was what she wanted. But gradually, she understood something. She wanted to go back to that time. Indeed, every day was tiring. But that group was there. No matter what they had encountered. No one would believe what could be said and what could be said. Might as well keep silent about the past. None of them seemed to be able to withstand it. To be able to fight together, to see that person moving the mouse, tilting his head and smiling. She could be considered a qualified fan. Not just to His Highness Jiao. It's the same for those people. He left in such a hurry. She didn't even tell them. In the eyes of others. You are part of Supreme Alliance. So many people would say, anyway, I don't like Spade Z, it's fake. Or rather, Lin Feng didn't even reply. How disappointing, but that didn't stop me from liking Supreme Alliance. Lua Lua was like that. Otherwise, why would she retire and so on? There were also so many people who said that this was the best team, that this team contained their youth. But she only wanted to say one thing. Even if you lose your brilliance, return to the most ordinary life. Even if you don't play games anymore, become ordinary in the vast sea of people. Chapter 1669. This meal of skewers was not without effect. Anyway, it had successfully closed the distance between the two dorms. Junior, you can look for 4 for academic matters, don't stand on ceremony. That's right, don't stand on ceremony. The two of them had spared no effort to be 4's godly support. The rarest thing was that in the past, 4 would just give them the cold shoulder when they said such things. But this time, it was clearly allowed. When they reached the dorm, Li Tao said, Yao Yao, let me tell you, our school hunk is definitely interested in you. Shui Yao Yao didn't deny it. Li Tao was stunned. Shouldn't you say that it's impossible and that I'm just imagining things? Shui Yao Yao was conflicted. Do I have to say that? Zi Xian didn't have a good impression of the people in the dorm and felt that they hadn't experienced much. Now that she heard Shui Yao Yao's words, she smiled and leaned against the wall. No, girls have a sixth sense. If you say that, it will only prove that you're shy or you saw through it. I thought you were shy but it doesn't seem like it. Shui Yao Yao chuckled lightly. I can feel it, he wants to pair me up with Senior. Then what do you think? Li Tao was dumbfounded by the unconventional dialogue. This wasn't how she usually spoke in comics. Shui Yao Yao glanced up. Me? I don't have any plans to date, I want to study first. Yao Yao, you're joking, studying in university? Li Tao had a look of disapproval. Haven't you heard of this saying? If you don't date in university, you are wasting your youth. Zixuan also agreed with this sentence. Don't date? Study? I just praised you and now I want to say. Fake? Shui Yao Yao continued her sentence and smiled. It's probably because my life plans are different. I really don't want to date right now. I want to enrich myself. Now that I've chosen this major, I'll probably be busy in the future. If I meet someone suitable, I won't reject him, but that'll be 2 or 3 years later. Li Tao paused. Life plans. Honestly, she couldn't continue the conversation. After all, they had just started university, and today was their first day of school. Wasn't it too early to talk about life plans? Yao Yao, where did you come from, old antique? Li Tao buried her head in the blanket, looking very cute. Shui Yao Yao also teased, indeed, you youngsters can't learn it. This sentence made everyone in the dormitory laugh again. From this, other people also really realized, Yao Yao really doesn't want to fall in love. How should he put it? At his age, he was good-looking, sincere, hard-working, and had a long-term plan. It was really hard to hate him. Buzz Li Tao's phone vibrated. She glanced at the screen and said to the others, "It's a senior. He's asking if we want to play games. He even said that his fourth brother is really good at games and can carry the entire game." With that, Li Tao's eyes lit up. "That's great, I'm lacking an almighty to carry me. Senior said that he and the school hunk will carry us, one against the assassin and the other against the tank. How about Yao Yao, are you coming? I saw that you have Hero on your phone." Chapter 1670. It's okay if it's average, there's someone to carry it, what's there to be afraid of? Li Tao touched Shui Yao Yao's arm. Shui Yao Yao shook the toiletries in her hand. "You guys play, I'm going to shower. Then we'll wait for you." Li Tao looked at her back view and smiled. Zi Xian spoke up. "She doesn't want to play, there's no need to wait." "She doesn't want to play with the school hunk around?" Li Tao shook her head. "As expected, am I the only one who looks at looks?" Zi Xian took the mirror. "Not necessarily, but I haven't seen many girls with Yao Yao's temperament. I can only say that this time, the school hunk is probably going to fall for her." Her words came true. That day, when Lin Yang saw that Shui Yao Yao wasn't among the people he played with, he wasn't very interested. The other people in the dormitory were also surprised. "This junior isn't tempted by our fourth brother? Is she playing hard to get?" "Big brother, playing hard to get isn't used in this situation, I think she just isn't interested." "Yes, she definitely isn't interested. To be able to see fourth brother being rejected in my lifetime, this feeling is really too. F***ck, wait, what happened to my laptop? F***ck. Lin Yang smiled, but there wasn't much joy in it. "You talk too much." "I talk too much? I think I've poked your sore spot, fourth brother." Lin Yang looked at him with a smile. That person was a little afraid and changed the topic. "Oh right, fourth brother, I've found the part-time employee you asked me to find. Don't worry, there will be people coming with such a high price, I'll find a suitable one now." "No need." Lin Yang lowered his eyes. "I found it." "Found it? Who? Did fourth brother see any gaming expert recently?" Lin Yang didn't speak. When he was sleeping, he was disappointed. But there was something he was concerned about. He could go and talk to her tomorrow. Hence, the next day, there were some waves in the library. It was because when Shui Yao Yao was reading, Lin Yang sat next to her. He was caught off guard. Hence, when Yao Yao looked up and saw him, her fingers paused. "Senior?" There were already people whispering to each other. Lin Yang held 2 cups of coffee in his hands. He pushed one of them to Yao Yao. It was obvious that he didn't do these things often. "I hope I didn't disturb your reading." Shui Yao Yao listened to the discussions around her and hesitated for a moment before saying, "It seems like it's still affecting him a little." This way, there was no ambiguity at all. Lin Yang smiled, clear and clean. "I want to talk to you about something." "Huh?" Shui Yao Yao couldn't think of anything that would make him look for her. Lin Yang looked at the increasing number of people in the library. After some consideration, he said, "Let's go somewhere else." "Okay." Shui Yao Yao also felt the pressure of being surrounded like this. After the two of them left the library, they went to the shadow of the tree by the lake. Because it was quite hot. Walking by the lake was better than sitting. At least there would be wind. Chapter 1671. Why are you looking for me for such a thing? Shui Yao Yao had been in the Supreme Alliance for a long time and followed Fox Feng. She could basically hear the hidden message behind a sentence. Lin Yang looked at her. Because no one is more suitable than you in C University. After all, you are a professional. As expected, you know. Shui Yaoyao's gaze was indifferent. I refuse. Lin Yang smiled, not in a hurry. Yao Yao, have you ever thought that it would be a waste of your talent if you don't work in the game industry? You can be a game maker if you can't play games. Many people feel that games are useless when they talk about games. The Tetris we played when we were young is helpful for intellectual development. Currently, there might not be such a game in the country, but rather than handing the things you like to unreliable people, wouldn't it be more reassuring to do it yourself? Shui Yaoyao had never heard such an argument. She retracted the steps she was about to take. She seemed to be thinking. Lin Yang stood beside her, his voice calm. I like to watch the Supreme Alliance compete, from its creation to its disbandment. When I entered school, I thought that if one day, the things I created were given to these people, I would feel very honored. Games shouldn't make people overly addicted. If we can insert some textbook knowledge and add questions and answers from an angle that everyone is interested in, would that be a way to start from interest? Lin Yang's gaze stopped on the lake. These are all things I want to do in the future. Every time I feel that I'm being whimsical, I will go watch the Supreme Alliance's competition. No matter what I encounter, I will continue and not give up. Even if countless people say it's absurd, it doesn't matter. Shui Yaoyao trembled, her long black hair was blown by the wind, revealing her eyes. Lin Yang, to become outstanding in their respective fields, this is the way I like the Supreme Alliance. Do you want to use this method too? Shui Yaoyao was convinced. Completely and utterly. She was even more determined than before. When she didn't want to touch something again, it was because that group of people were no longer around. She turned to the backstage to think if it was possible, they could meet again. Many years later. Just like that, Shui Yaoyao became a game tester. When Lin Yang brought her over, she was really dumbfounded. Come over, come over. Lin Yang arched a brow. What? Come here first. Lin Yang said helplessly, don't pull my clothes, say it. Then I'll be direct. The man took a deep breath. I've always felt that you're a cold and steady person, right? Lin Yang let out a heh. Don't be angry, don't be angry. I mean, we all agree that you should take the initiative to chase after girls. After all, there aren't many girls that you like, but you can't bring dating into work. This is a very serious issue. Lin Yang glanced at Shui Yaoyao and then shrugged off his roommate's shoulder. Don't spout nonsense. How am I spouting nonsense? That person looked at Shui Yaoyao. Junior, in order to chase after you, Old C really put in a lot of effort to bring you to the studio. Oh my God, I can't even imagine it. Shui Yaoyao lied, Senior, I actually wanted to tell you yesterday that I have a boyfriend. Not only that person, even Lin Yang's fingers paused. The man coughed twice to ease the atmosphere. This script doesn't seem right. Chapter 1672. Shui Yaoyao's words successfully resolved the awkwardness. That person sighed again. This girl wasn't bad, she wasn't a little green tea. Unfortunately, she wasn't interested in him. Since she wasn't interested, why was she here? All right. Lin Yang moved his hand away. Stop playing, let me introduce you. This is the new beta tester I found. From tomorrow onwards, we will work together. Beta tester? Lao Si, are you crazy? Really, if Junior Yaoyao hadn't said she had a boyfriend, would have suspected that you recruited her to eat grass near your nest. Yesterday, Peach said that Junior's gaming skills are average. Girls' gaming skills are average. Do you know what that means? Shui Yaoyao was curious. What does that mean? Scam. That person turned and wanted to shake himself off. Junior, I'm not saying that you're a scam, I mean, the job of a beta tester isn't for humans. The hand speed is very strict. At the very least, you have to be a gaming almighty who hasn't cheated before. In reality, Shui Yaoyao's hand speed wasn't fast. In Supreme Alliance, her standard was average. But everyone knew that she put in the most time. Hence, she didn't have to worry about the hand speed of a professional player. I can do it. Shui Yaoyao said these 3 words. That person gritted his teeth and didn't speak. Lin Yang interrupted him. You two play around. Me and Junior? Solo? That person waved his hand. No, I'm not as crazy as you to be alone. It's my gentlemanly character to not play against girls. Lin Yang snickered. The man immediately changed his mind. Are you going to use your phone or your computer? Phone, really, if it's a mobile game, at least Junior knows how to run the map. Computer. Shui Yaoyao chuckled lightly. Only client-side games can test the hand speed. Really? Lin Yang arched a brow. Why? Afraid of losing? Ha ha ha, I'm afraid of losing to a girl. Are you kidding me? Just based on what you said, I have to play to my standard. Hence, he turned on the computer and logged into the game. 20 minutes later, he lost. That person looked at the results on the screen and didn't even want to get up. Who told him that little sister Yao Yao's gaming skills were average and that her conscience wouldn't hurt? He had been thoroughly abused like a vegetable. Senior, did I pass the interview? Shui Yaoyao took off her earphones. Her side profile was beautiful. I didn't just pass. Let's discuss something. Junior, please don't tell anyone that you defeated me. I also want to pursue a girlfriend in university. The person raised his head. Halfway through his sentence, he looked at Lin Yang and suddenly remembered something. You told me yesterday that you found someone, it's her. Lin Yang continued his roommate's words. That person's eyes widened. No wonder they felt that he was interested in Junior Yaoyao. It turned out that he had discovered a talent. That's not right. How do you know that Junior Yaoyao is good at gaming? Lin Yang glanced at Shui Yaoyao and didn't explain further. I saw it by chance. Ah, I know. Is it like in the novels, where you go to an internet cafe and see it? Yes. How generous. Shui Yaoyao held back her laughter. Indeed, boys read romance novels too. This made sense so that she didn't have to explain some things. Lin Yang was also helping Shui Yaoyao hide her identity. Chapter 1673. The job of a game tester was indeed suitable for Shui Yaoyao. It wasn't just the job itself, but also the emotional sustenance. Since she was in the team previously and there were many guys around her, it wasn't difficult to get along with her seniors. As for her identity, no one knew about it. This was probably the beginning of a new beginning. But there were still other things that happened. For example, she was the only girl in the school hunks project. And she was a freshman. There would always be gossip in the eyes of others. Just like in novels. The next day, Shui Yaoyao was about to go eat with her dorm mates when she was stopped by a third-year senior. Which one of you is Shui Yaoyao? There were 3 of them, each with a good aura. Li Tao tugged at Yaoyao. Shui Yaoyao smiled, looking up. I am. Let's have a chat. One of them smiled, giving off an artistic vibe. Normally, ordinary people wouldn't reject it. In addition, the people next to him also recognized who this person was. Li Tao was familiar with her, that was why she tugged at Yaoyao's sleeves. According to the school website, this was the C University celebrity most compatible with the school hunk. When Wan Qing, be it in appearance or family background. And the 2 of them had hosted the freshman party together. It was said that they had a good relationship in private. She was probably the only person who could talk to the school hunk. Hence, the school website said that they were a couple. When they first arrived, Li Tao would definitely believe such gossip when she saw it. But now, the school hunk was obviously chasing after her Yao Yao. Unless the school hunk was a scumbag, otherwise, this artistic lady in front of her was just wishful thinking. Wishful thinking was too easy to go to extremes. Li Tao was anxious for Yao Yao to leave with someone else and was about to speak. Shui Yao Yao smiled. "I'm sorry, senior, I have to go eat with my friends. If there really is something, can we talk about it directly?" When Wan Qing had probably never met someone who rejected her so directly, her gaze paused on Shui Yao Yao's face. The other person beside her laughed. There's something wrong with the freshmen this year, you still don't understand anything. Our art department is looking for you and this is your attitude?" Shui Yao Yao looked at that exquisite face. When she was in junior high, it wasn't like he hadn't encountered such a situation before. Because of Jiang Zhua, she had been talked to like this before. After experiencing such a thing, she would subconsciously feel inferior when she saw such a beautiful girl again. No matter when. Just when she thought this was the end of her life, a better-looking person appeared. When she wore the school uniform, she looked like a handsome young man. When she wore the black veil, she looked like a witch. She was extremely beautiful. The difference was, no matter what she looked like, she would stand against the light, bear everything, and not give in at all. Shui Yao Yao understood one thing. If you wanted others to look up to you, the most important thing was to look up to yourself. It had nothing to do with looks. It's that you can see through these people. No matter how beautiful her skin was. It was just skin. Chapter 1674. You. That person narrowed her eyes. There was a commotion not far away. It's the professor? Who's the person beside him? I don't know. Oh my God, he's so handsome. Didn't the professor say that there would be a teaching assistant coming? Could it be this one? Before they could finish their guesses, when Wan Qing had already realized that she couldn't continue asking. It's not as serious as you think, it's just that the art department thinks that you're not bad and wanted to talk to you about joining the club. Since you're not willing, we won't force you. After saying this, when Wan Qing walked forward with her people. After all, this was a first-year building. It wasn't appropriate for third years like them to stand at the door. It would be fine if there weren't so many people watching. It wouldn't be good if they attracted the professor's attention. And everyone's attention wasn't completely focused here. Because the topic of the new teaching assistant is very handsome had sparked a discussion among the freshmen. Shui Yao Yao was eating with Li Tao. As someone who was dedicated to researching the school's website, Li Tao was very interested in this new teaching assistant. He's really amazing, it's been spreading like wildfire but there isn't a single photo on the school's website. Li Tao held her chopsticks in her mouth and looked at the tray in front of her. Yao Yao, who do you think this new teaching assistant is? He managed to keep it a secret so well. Shui Yao Yao ate a mouthful of rice and chuckled. He's a teaching assistant after all, he's getting to know the professor first. No one would dare to take photos, right? That's true. Li Tao admitted but added, it's not that they don't dare to take photos, it's just that there aren't any photos. But there's one thing, no matter how mysterious this person is, he can't beat the girls in our school's search for a handsome guy. Shui Yao Yao was helpless. What kind of adjectives are you using? It's true, don't doubt me. The school's website said that the new teaching assistant isn't simple, otherwise, it's impossible that they couldn't find anything. He must have some background. Li Tao said logically. More importantly, those who have seen this teaching assistant said that in the future, our school hunk won't be able to keep his position. Shui Yaoyao put down her chopsticks. Looks handsome. He's more than handsome. When he's wearing a teaching assistant's uniform and his eyes are raised into a smile, it's easy to guess which family's young master he's from. His flirtatious look is all over his face. Shui Yaoyao stood up and smiled. You're reciting a poem. I'm telling the truth. Li Tao also cleaned up the table. Oh right, are you going to school Hunk's senior brother's place to continue working? Shui Yaoyao replied. Because it wasn't convenient to talk about some things, she told her roommates about her current job. The new teaching assistant will follow the professor there in a while. Li Tao hurriedly caught up with her. The school website said that he's very interested in your project and wants the professor to take him to take a look. Shui Yaoyao let out a long sigh. You even know what he talked about with the professor? You have to believe in the strength of our obsession with handsome men. Li Tao smiled cheekily. The professor brought him to the extremely expensive cafeteria in front for a meal. A female classmate happened to overhear it. As expected of the school hunk, senior brother's project is very famous. Shui Yaoyao declined to comment. Chapter 1675. Take pictures? Shui Yaoyao furrowed her brows. It's not convenient with the professor around. Li Tao thought for a moment and chuckled. That's true, but if it's possible, take one. I'm not forcing it, I just want to see a handsome guy. Shui Yaoyao knew her roommate's personality and smiled. I'll definitely take one if there's a chance. After all, I'm a fan of handsome guys. Right, the two girls' voices became softer and softer, disappearing in the wind, just like all the freshmen. Liking to look at handsome men was a very normal thing. On the other side. In the cafeteria. The professor also realized how charming his new student was. He chuckled lightly and said, after you came, the girls of C University have a new goal. Even when we're having a meal, they can gather in a circle. Your dad was still worried about you finding a girlfriend, but I don't think he has to worry at all. I didn't know Uncle Bai was here at first and was waiting for the school to send the documents. The person sat with his back to the light. Even though he was wearing an ordinary teaching assistant uniform, it couldn't hide his merchant aura. He exuded a noble aura. Fortunately, I came. Professor Bai smiled again. With your professionalism, you can handle it yourself. I'm curious, don't you think it's a pity that you transferred to C University in such a hurry? Your major is the most popular in a university. I'm here to be a teaching assistant, there's nothing to pity. The person placed his chopsticks down. Professor Bai arched a brow. Do you think I'll believe you? Alright, I'll explain. Regardless of the time or identity, the person still had the aura of a playboy. I'm here to chase someone. Professor Bai was slightly stunned. Chase someone? You're chasing someone? The person replied with a mmh. When he laughed, the girls below really wanted to take pictures. Professor Bai's curiosity grew. Who exactly is it that made you chase after her across provinces? Our C University's freshman this year? Didn't you never chase anyone in the past? You even said it's fun to be chased. The person lowered his eyes. I wasn't sensible in the past. That's not simple, to be able to make you feel that you're insensible. I want to see who you're chasing. Professor Bai smiled and took a sip of tea. Your dad doesn't know, right? The man's eyes paused. I don't know. I didn't want to tell him. When Professor Bai saw this, he stopped asking questions. After all, he knew the relationship between the father and son. He was indeed very nervous. Well, we're almost done eating. I'll take you to see our project. Didn't you say that you're interested in the game development? Professor Bai stood up first. That person also followed. He was wearing a teaching assistant's uniform, and he forcibly made himself look like a noble. In the studio where he was working on a project, everyone was cleaning up. This was really the norm. After all, when they were making a game, hygiene and whatnot, for men like them, they would ignore it if they could. If he had the time, he might as well write another program. Of course, after Junior Yao Yao came, she was already much better. However, they could not withstand their bad luck. Now the professor is coming. In order to let the professor know, and also to let the legendary outstanding teaching assistant who could defeat their fourth teacher know. Their project wasn't something that could be done by just anyone. Therefore, they couldn't slack off in terms of hygiene. Thus, there were people who cleaned up, and there were people who kept watch. Chapter 1676. Are you guys done packing? They're here. Cough, what's the rush? Calm down, let Four and Sister Yao Yao welcome the guests first. Shui Yao Yao was also speechless at the word welcome. They still had to collect the trash at the back. Indeed, they had to go out and exchange some pleasantries. Lin Yang put down the things in his hands and looked up at Shui Yao Yao. Let's go out. Shui Yao Yao put down the rag, wiped her hands and took the phone over. There was a basic version of the game on it. Outside the studio, Professor Bai was still showing off to the teaching assistant next to him. Look, RC University students know more about life than your university students, these small plants are all for them to live in. The teaching assistant glanced at it, a playboy smile hanging on his lips. Uncle Bai, the programmers don't even have time to clean up, it's impossible for them to have the time to plant flowers and plants. These should have been moved over from somewhere else, don't they have the little bow that girls like? It looks like they were moved from the girls' dormitory. Professor Bai paused when he heard this. The teaching assistant smiled. I shouldn't have exposed it. Professor Bai was about to speak. A voice came from the other side. Professor. It was his favorite student. Professor Bai looked up. What are you guys doing? We're here to pick you and the teaching assistant up. Lin Yang smiled too, his gaze landing on the slender figure. These plants were indeed moved from the girls' dormitory, there's one more girl in our team now. Professor Bai was amused. I knew it, you know how to live well. However, the handsome teaching assistant beside him didn't say much, he just fixed his gaze on one person, all the light seemed to scatter in his eyes, like the flowing gold of time. Compared to before, there were many more emotions, but his voice was indifferent. I know, I'm here for the girl in your team. Shui Yao Yao stood there, looking at the new teaching assistant who was being talked about like wildfire, her mind was blank, there was almost no image. How could it be him? This was Shui Yao Yao's only thought at the moment. But now she was different from before. Hence, she didn't show anything. Relatively speaking. Lin Yang's hand paused. He looked at the person beside him, then at the figure standing in the light. The smile on his face gradually faded. It was because of the ambiguous relationship between the two of them. Even if they weren't standing together. But he still felt as if there was a line that couldn't be cut. Professor Bai was already helpless. Even if this kid was chasing after someone, could he not be so straightforward? Cough. As a teacher, Professor Bai coughed lightly. Alright, Jiangzhua, don't bring your tricks to C University. Come over, I'll introduce you to someone. Jiangzhua smiled and walked out of the light. At this moment, Shui Yao Yao could see him more clearly. From his eyes to his face, everything was crystal clear. There's no need for introductions. Jiangzhua glanced up. I did a background check before coming. The Lin family's young master has excellent results in school and is the student you are most proud of. Professor Bai really wanted to teach this brat a lesson. Jiangzhua had already stretched his hand out. Jiangzhua, I'll be your teaching assistant in the future and also the person following up on your project. The etiquette of the Jiang family was very good. If there was a comparison between the two, Jiang Zuo was a more three-dimensional person, probably because of the strong contradictory aura around him. Chapter 1677. He lifted his eyes and looked at Shui Yaoyao, then he smiled. The summer was bright, but it couldn't be compared to his eyes. You seem to have become prettier again. Did you lose weight? Professor Bai didn't want to say anything else. They were all here, didn't he know how to restrain himself? A certain someone didn't know how to restrain herself. He could only smile. Why are you trying to get close to her? But it was rare for a girl to be as gentle as ever when she saw this playboy. Professor Bai couldn't help but glance in Shui Yaoyao's direction. Jiang Zuo's smile was mixed with many other things. You haven't seen her, so you don't know. She is my sister, how can this be considered getting close to her? Sister? Not only Professor Bai, but even the few people eavesdropping at the door were shocked. That amazing newcomer, that handsome teaching assistant who was even better than Old Four, was Sister Yaoyao's brother? What kind of twist of fate was this? To have such an elder brother-in-law. Old Four, your road to love is definitely not easy. Needless to say, these people were thinking too much. But it had to be admitted that when Lin Yang heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. Only Shui Yaoyao didn't expect him to say this. After all, he had never admitted that she was his sister. He also never admitted that her mother married into the Jiang family. In this current situation, it had never happened. So much so that Shui Yaoyao didn't know what to say. The excuse that she had thought of before was that they were just ordinary friends, but it was no longer useful now. Professor Bai had a sudden realization. So you are. He paused here. After all, what he said next would touch on other people's family affairs. He smiled and continued, you're really promising. The people who came into this project are all elites. Come, tell me, which area are you in charge of? Shui Yaoyao was very grateful to Professor Bai for leading the topic on the right track. I am the project tester, mainly testing some of the game's operations, experience and interest. From there, I will find small bugs in the operations and increase the difficulty. Professor Bai listened with great interest. He was usually more technical and wasn't good at application. And most professors were academic. Now that he saw these models and the initial background as well as the game's website beta, he found it interesting. The gentlemen agreed that their labors were fruitful. Even when Professor Bai was inspecting it, one of them kicked the garbage bag inside. But that was not the point. Most importantly, Professor Bai had left. The teaching assistant who caused a sensation did not leave. He smirked, took off his jacket, and looked over at them. For some reason, they were clearly of the same age. This person seemed to have an invisible aura. Do you have time? I don't think we need to clean up again. Ha ha ha. The people who were exposed laughed. Yes, assistant professor, do you have any advice? Jiang Zuo was a businessman and knew how to read people's minds. How can it be advice? As Yao Yao's brother, I would like to treat you to a meal. I came a few days late and I have to thank you for taking care of her for me. Treat me to a meal. Yao Yao's brother was also a teaching assistant. He would definitely go. Ha ha ha, why are you being so polite? He had to be humble. Chapter 1678. He was starving. Didn't he just finish his meal in the cafeteria? Shui Yaoyao lowered her gaze, not saying a word. She had a rough idea of what was going on. But what she didn't understand was why he would suddenly do all this for her. When the others heard that Jiang Zuo was Yao Yao's brother, they were different from before and were extremely passionate. In that case, we'll accept your invitation and accept your meal. Jiang Zuo smiled. Think about what to eat. There's no need to think, it's our usual rule, skewers. We only got to know Junior Yao Yao when we ate skewers. Shui Yao Yao, who was called out, couldn't reject him. MMH Jiang Zhuo hooked his jacket and smiled at Shui Yao Yao. Yao Yao, call your roommates over so I can get to know them. Shui Yao Yao was about to speak. The senior beside her said, yes, 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 call Li Tao and the others over. We have been too busy these few days, we can still play games if we sit together. Shui Yao Yao glanced over. Jiang Zhuo smiled like a peach blossom. Indeed, there was no other way. After all, he was using her brother's identity. After the other three roommates received the call, they naturally agreed. After all, the two roommates had a good relationship. But most importantly, the senior said, Yao Yao's brother wants to treat us to a meal. All the more reason for them to go. But the siblings were in the same university, it was quite fated. Moreover, the younger sister came before the older brother, which was something they couldn't understand at first. When they entered the skewer's shop, they saw the school hunk and a handsome man who looked like they were going to tear a manga apart. They were truly amazed by her beauty. That person had a pair of long and narrow eyes that looked like peach blossoms. When he looked at them again, his lips curled into a smile. You guys are Yao Yao's roommates, right? I'm her brother and also the new teaching assistant. New teaching assistant? Li Tao felt like she couldn't breathe. If she were to take a photo and post it on the school intranet, there would be many people watching. Sure enough, the school's intranet didn't lie. Her beloved teaching assistant Prince Charming was really handsome. Li Tao tugged at Shui Yao Yao's sleeves and leaned over to whisper, Yao Yao, you're really amazing. I originally wanted you to secretly help me take a photo of my teaching idol. Now I've even seen him in person and he even wants to treat us to a meal. Most importantly, he's actually your brother. Shui Yao Yao calmed herself down. It's a long story. It's not what you think. You actually have such a brother. No wonder you always say you look average. Li Tao understood. Actually, you're very pretty. It's just that your brother is too handsome. I don't think you two are siblings. Shui Yao Yao replied with a and didn't explain further. The senior brothers on the other side had already taken out the skewers. Come, sit, sit. Shui Yao Yao wanted to sit on the right like before. Unexpectedly, Li Tao was very sensible. You siblings should sit together. Shui Yao Yao glanced at Jiang Zhuo, whose collar was slightly unbuttoned, revealing his collarbone. She deeply felt that her brother's excuse was useless. There were indeed many things that couldn't be said. Even though he was sitting in such a small shop, his Jiang family aura didn't diminish at all. But what changed was something that Shui Yao Yao couldn't explain. Yao Yao, hurry and sit, I'll go get the sauce. Chapter 1679. He shrugged. When the heat came, Shui Yao Yao looked up. Jiang Zhuo happened to look over, his eyes deep and shallow. It was easy to remember how he looked when he wasn't in front of others. It wasn't easy to get rid of a person's imprint. Shui Yao Yao lowered her eyes, thinking about how to talk to him. He asked while eating, is the teaching assistant's surname Shui too? Shui Yao Yao paused, someone finally noticed the problem. It can't be. Li Tao recalled the information she gathered. I heard his surname is Jiang. Jiang, then Yao Yao. The seniors were confused, they didn't say they were cousins, right? Jiang Zhuo smiled. I follow my father's surname, Yao Yao follows my mother's surname. He wasn't wrong. Yao Yao had started following her mother's surname when she was a few years old. But that wasn't the right explanation. Shui Yao Yao looked up. Li Tao laughed. Yao Yao, your family is really trendy. If I have children in the future, one will follow my father's surname and the other will follow my mother's surname. Shui Yaoyao looked at the people on the table, not saying that they were going to start a family. It wasn't that she was embarrassed, but the atmosphere wasn't suitable. Jiang Zhua sat beside her. After taking the skewers, he removed them one by one and placed the tender beef in her bowl. Everyone was eating. But after seeing his actions, the person on the other side paused again. Li Tao exclaimed. As expected, big brothers are good to others. My brother never puts food in my bowl, he always snatches my braised pork at home. Yaoyao, your brother treats you so well. This way, Shui Yaoyao couldn't put the beef back. Moreover, she really liked beef. In the past, when they ate together, Highness Jiao would snatch it for her. Miss them? Jiang Zhua lowered his face, his voice faint. If you do, go overseas. She had been here for so long. Her longing had always been suppressed deeply. But at this moment, someone seemed to understand her. Even the person's next sentence was the same as before. But I advise you not to appear in front of that person, you know how jealous some people can be. Shui Yaoyao replied, placing the beef in her mouth. It was delicious. Probably because there was someone talking to her about them. She had planned to have a good chat with him after dinner. However, the other party did not seem to be his usual self and did not give her a chance to talk to him alone. Instead, when she sent them back to the dormitory, she smiled at her roommates. Yao Yao, I will have to trouble you. Li Tao was now the most loyal, teaching assistant fan. She decisively threw the school hunk aside. Sure enough, she still liked this kind of man who looked bad but was actually a siscon. Jiang Zhua knew that Yao Yao wanted to talk to him, but he didn't because he wanted to give himself a chance. He would stay by her side, including getting rid of all those who had designs on her. It was impossible for him to become kind in this life. No one would be able to accept the method of chasing after someone. But he would not force her like before. If she didn't like him showing up, he wouldn't show up. Whatever she liked, he would give her. In the following days. That was exactly what Jiang Zhua did. So when Shui Yaoyao pushed open the door to the dormitory, she felt a chill run down her spine. Chapter 1680. Shui Yaoyao didn't speak, just looking at the fruits. She liked every single one of them. She thought he wouldn't remember the things she said. After all, when she had told him about it, she had been very, very fat. At that time, no one would have noticed what she had said, done, or liked. Yao Yao? Li Tao glanced down. Shui Yaoyao came back to her senses and replied, MMH, Li Tao sighed. It's indeed stressful to have such an outstanding brother. Previously, those people asked me how to get close to you so that I could get the teaching assistant's contact details. Shui Yaoyao smiled. There were people who asked me for it in the past. But they wouldn't have been so nice. Li Tao continued. But the teaching assistant seems to be afraid of causing trouble for you. I saw him tell a girl not to disturb you and she almost cried. Shui Yaoyao glanced down, wanting to avoid this topic. But she saw the figure standing under the tree in her dormitory. He was slender and lazy, his playboy aura couldn't be changed. But this time, he was standing there alone. He lifted his lids, seemingly looking in the direction of her dormitory. The falling leaves fell on his black hair, but he lifted his hand to remove them. He didn't leave, instead, he stood against the tree. Shui Yaoyao lowered her lids, reaching out to pull the curtains. She wasn't sure if it had rained that day. It also showed him her attitude. Jiang Zhua didn't appear the next day. But the fruits arrived and there were 4 more desserts. Her roommates ate happily. He has a sister complex. He definitely has a sister complex. If Yao Yao falls in love in the future, do you think the teaching assistant will beat that guy up? With such an outstanding brother like the teaching assistant, those who want to chase Yao Yao will have to consider if they are qualified. Li Tao smiled, touching Yao Yao's shoulder. Look, there is someone who has considered and feels that he is suitable. Yao Yao, our school hunk senior invited you in the game again. Work test. Shui Yao Yao went online after saying this. She had been looking for the small bug, as well as the pin jamming. This went on for more than an hour. After Li Tao and the others washed the clothes, they even bought the food. When they walked in, they tugged at her sleeves. Yao Yao, do you know? Does he have a fever? Shui Yao Yao's hand froze. Fever? Yes, I heard it's very serious. I don't know where he got caught in the rain yesterday. Li Tao's voice was low. He seems to be in the infirmary now. The classmates are all saying, Yao Yao, did your brother not tell you about the fever because he was afraid that you would worry? Shui Yao Yao's eyes darkened. Li Tao's voice was getting further and further away. No wonder the teaching assistant didn't appear today. Shui Yao Yao stood up and put aside her work for a while. I'm going to the infirmary to see him. Yes, yes. Go, go. After all, he was her biological brother. It would be strange if he did not go. Shui Yao Yao didn't explain their relationship. On the other hand, the school hunk on the other end of the line had asked her out for a meal. Shui Yao Yao replied, the teaching assistant is sick. I'm going to see him. Teaching assistant? This form of address made Lin Yang's fingers pause. He smiled. I don't think I've ever heard you call teaching assistant brother. Chapter 1681. Shui Yao Yao's words caused Lin Yang's gaze to freeze. The intuition that surged in his heart when he first saw that person came back. That person liked Yao Yao just like him. No matter how one tried to hide it, one's gaze couldn't be controlled. From the moment that person appeared, he only had eyes for Yao Yao. Originally, when he heard that he was her brother, he heaved a sigh of relief. From the looks of it now, that wasn't the case. Did Yao Yao know? Her brother, who wasn't related by blood, liked her. For some reason, Lin Yang felt that she knew. Otherwise, with her personality, why would she be so distant from her brother? Lin Yang had always felt that it was better to get closer slowly. But now, he didn't think so. Lin Yang lowered his gaze, his handsome face, his aura retro. Yao Yao, let's meet. Shui Yao Yao furrowed her brows. Now? Lin Yang, now. Shui Yao Yao thought for a moment and said, Senior, do you need me for work? Lin Yang chuckled. No, I want to treat you to a meal. Shui Yao Yao replied with a voice message. I'm sorry, Senior, I have something to do. If it's not work, I won't be going. Lin Yang didn't give up on the idea. Then let's meet after class tomorrow. I'll wait for you in the library. Okay. Shui Yao Yao had other things on her mind and didn't think much about it. She agreed casually. After all, they would often meet in private for data feedback. She was thinking about how to get into the teaching assistant's dormitory as a student. Shui Yao Yao had already been to the infirmary and received a definite answer. The school doctor also said that it was related to the rain. The fever is too serious and she needs to rest more. After Shui Yao Yao thanked him, she went to the staff dormitory. It was on the second floor of the old campus. See, university was such a big university, there wouldn't be only a few teaching assistants. Shui Yao Yao was carrying some medicine and fruits she bought. If it really didn't work, she would probably ask someone else to send it up as a family member. It was all thanks to her identity as a family member. Isn't this teaching assistant Zhang's sister? Are you here to see your brother? Someone walked down from upstairs and smiled when he saw Shui Yao Yao. Shui Yao Yao hummed and asked, Do you know which room my brother is in? The first one on the left. I live with him. That person smiled faintly. I was just about to go get some medicine for him. Since you're here, I don't have to waste my time. I still have a courseware to write in a while, so I'll go straight to the library. Yao Yao stepped aside. Sorry to trouble you. We're all interning together. It's not troublesome at all. However, your brother is an exception. After saying that, the man waved his hand and left. Shui Yao Yao carried the things upstairs. Because it was in the old campus, the walls were modeled, and the stairs were of the same design as before. There was a slight noise when one stepped on it. There were 4 rooms in the hallway. Shui Yao Yao found the one on the far left and knocked on the door. No one answered. Shui Yao Yao furrowed her brows. According to the teaching assistant, there should be someone inside. Was it very serious? At this thought, Shui Yao Yao knocked on the door a few more times. Only then did he hear footsteps. Chapter 1682. Jiangzhua, who thought it was his roommate who had returned, fell silent when he saw Shui Yao Yao standing outside the door. Shui Yao Yao looked at him. She didn't even need to take his temperature to know that his fever hadn't subsided. She didn't bother to argue and directly pulled him to the bedside. Lie down and take your temperature. If it's too high, go back to the infirmary. If it's not, drink your medicine. I'll get you some water. Jiangzhua felt dizzy from her pull. When she let go, he lowered his eyes and looked at his wrist. It had been too long. It really had been too long. She took the initiative to touch him. She didn't want to avoid him every time she saw him. The interval between these events was too long. Jiangzhua glanced over at the busy figure. His thin lips were pale and he didn't have the strength to speak. If she hadn't kept knocking, Jiangzhua probably wouldn't have stood up. Now that he thought about it, he was lucky that he had stood up and opened the door. When Shui Yao Yao walked back, besides medicine and hot water, she also wet a towel and placed it on his forehead. Jiangzhua finally understood why Qin Mo liked to use the trick of injuring himself. But until now, he didn't want to use any tricks on her. If she felt that it was hurting him, in that case, he would just stay there quietly. As long as no one came close, it would be fine. Probably no one understood why he was panicking. He was afraid that she would suddenly have a new life in university, a life that didn't include him. And he knew what the school hunk had in mind for her. If he was just a kid, it wouldn't have mattered. But he could actually convince her to play games again. Jiangzhua was afraid. He didn't even have time to arrange things at home. He would rather give up the teaching assistant title and come over. Even if he had to face the possibility that he might really lose her every day. It seemed better than letting his imagination run wild. But he still couldn't take it. She ate with that person, did game tests with him, and talked about things he might not understand. Now, he regretted not asking Qin Mo to teach him how to play games. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. He was a businessman. There was a fundamental difference between him and people like them who had dreams in their hearts. But Jiangzhua had been thinking about it all this time. But he had never told her. His dream was to be with her. Want to get a person. He missed her so much. That's why he did it when he didn't know anything. I feel betrayed. When they wanted to retain him, they would use the most instinctive business methods. He wanted to ask her if she could start over. She didn't have to become so thin. Actually, whether she was pretty or not, in his eyes, it was all about her. Jiangzhua was really muddle-headed from the fever. Shui Yao Yao sat beside him. When she saw the temperature on the thermometer, she wanted to pull him up, but she couldn't. She could only make him drink the medicine and then use the physical cooling method. Fortunately, she had asked for alcohol from the infirmary. There was a refrigerator in the teaching assistant's dorm, and there was ice underneath. She wrapped a big bag and placed it on Jiang's forehead, moving it back and forth to lower the temperature. He probably sensed that someone was approaching him. Jiang's opened his eyes, his peach blossom eyes beautiful. He held her hand. "Is it Fat Yao Yao?" That's what he called her then. Shui Yao Yao replied, "MMH." Chapter 1683. Jiang's was confused from the fever. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such words. He wouldn't have let go of Shui Yao Yao's hand. But he really didn't think it was Shui Yao Yao. So after he said that, he closed his eyes, his pale, handsome face unnaturally red. One look and she knew it was caused by his high body temperature. It was probably because he was too uncomfortable, his brows were furrowed and his breath was hot. Shui Yao Yao sat at the side, her heart suddenly throbbing. From the moment she entered, she realized what kind of environment it was. If it was him in the past, he definitely wouldn't live in such a house. It was very simple and there were even cobwebs outside because it was the old campus. The room was clean but it was a world of difference from the place he had lived in for a long time. It wasn't that Shui Yao Yao didn't think about who he was here for. But it was too late. Shui Yao Yao wanted to tell him that. But the words Fat Yao Yao made her pause. She didn't know why but her heart felt warm. People didn't understand. So many people started to like her. It was because she had become like this. She learned to be confident, to dress herself up and she was even 10 kilograms lighter than before. When she encountered problems, she could solve them and wasn't a yes man anymore. She made herself better and better. If she worked hard enough, she would probably be respected accordingly. But other than Highness Jiu. Only this person. Whether it was hate or like. It was all given to her in the past. She felt so inferior that she couldn't show her face. She couldn't handle anything. She was fat and ugly and even a little useless. He would smile and say, "You're not useless, I feel at ease but you are really heavy, Fat Yao Yao." She liked this person. He was probably the one who gave her the initial courage. That was why she felt like she was collapsing when she was injured. But who said that he had to like her at that time? Shui Yao Yao's eyes landed on him. This person had given her too many feelings. It was so complicated that it reminded her of her youth. He had seen her at her worst. He had also shattered her teenage dreams. But after experiencing so much, Shui Yao Yao understood one thing. A teenage dream would always be a dream. And whether it was the unbearable you or the beautiful you, not everyone could accept it. So many people said they liked her. Shui Yao Yao saw the cruelest thing in the word like. Even when people found out about Almighty Qin's hand injury. Those who said they liked him even wanted him to withdraw from the competition when he performed poorly. Liking someone was too easy. A single gaze, a single face, a single sentence could be imagined. When the illusion is shattered, there would be hostages who would suspect that Senior Lin was trying to cheat them into marriage. Just because he said that he was gay, some things couldn't be explained. The easiest thing to accept about liking someone was that it was the opposite of fantasy. No matter what, she couldn't deny it. Apart from the Supreme Alliance. He was the only one who didn't ask her how she wanted to develop. At that time, he even said, "It's quite comfortable to pinch the flesh on your face." Fat Yao Yao? Shui Yao Yao placed her hand on Jiang's forehead, her eyes reflecting the tree branches outside. Jiang's didn't know what had happened. His fever had reached 40 degrees Celsius, and he was feeling a little dizzy. If it wasn't for someone constantly cooling him down, he would have died. He was really going to fail this time. Chapter 1684. Jiangzhua sat up, the white towel on his forehead hanging to one side. This caused his gaze to change. Amidst the deep and shallow emotions, someone brought a bowl of noodle soup over. Damn, you're finally awake. Hurry up and eat the noodles, I bought it from the restaurant. This time, it wasn't made with gutter oil. The person who spoke was his roommate, who was also a teaching assistant like him. It was also this voice that made Jiangzhua feel like he should wake up. He probably had a really bad fever. He actually felt like Yao Yao had come to visit him. He was probably dreaming. Jiangzhua didn't move, he continued to lie there, raising his hand to cover his forehead. I'm not hungry. You said you weren't hungry again. The person shook his head. Young Master Jiang, you have to eat something, you don't have much of an appetite after the fever. Look at you, I told you to eat but you didn't. In the end, it got worse, if it wasn't for your sister, my sister? What do you mean my sister? Jiangzhua interrupted him before he could finish his sentence. The person was confused. Your sister, Junior Yao Yao. Jiangzhua suddenly sat up, his voice a little hoarse. Yao Yao, did she come? The person nodded, blowing on the noodles as he ate. She just left and left you medicine. She said you were awake and asked me to call you for dinner, after dinner. F***ck. Wait. Young Master Jiang, where are you going? Jiangzhua didn't turn back, grabbing a jacket and heading out. The person was dumbfounded. Does this young master know that his fever has just subsided? At this moment, Jiangzhua didn't care anymore. Since she came. Did that mean that he still had a chance? That was the only thing Jiangzhua cared about. Downstairs in the female dormitory, there were many people with different personalities. That was because there was someone standing under the tree. He had a smile on his face as though he had just finished playing basketball. He didn't take off his wristband but held a bouquet of flowers in his hand. He was talking to Shui Yao Yao. It wasn't anyone else, it was the school hunk they wanted to see. Since you have no time, I could only come. The man smiled. I wanted to tell you slowly but it seems like if I don't tell you now, I'm afraid I won't have the chance in the future. You should have felt it. Shui Yao Yao stood there, not saying a word. You said you have a boyfriend. I've been following the team for so long, but I've never heard any news of you having a boyfriend. After the assistant came, I was even more certain that you don't have a boyfriend. What I'm about to say next, I hope it won't cause you any psychological burden. If you feel like you can't get along with me after hearing it, then just pretend you never heard it. Yao Yao, I like you. When he said the last word, Yi Zichen was stunned. Almost everyone who was walking back and forth heard it. Not to mention that this was a female dormitory. How fast did the news spread? Some even covered their mouths. There were even people whistling. The school hunk confessed. This would have been impossible in the past. It was even more impossible for him to be waiting for someone downstairs. But now, this scene was really like a scene that only appeared in television dramas. The girl he confessed to was truly blessed. Someone cupped his face and started to jeer, yes, yes, yes. Everything was so lively and beautiful. Chapter 1685. Was there no hope left? He bit his lower lip. His legs felt like they were filled with lead. They were heavy and heavy. On the two of them. He saw youth and the future. But thinking about it carefully, what was between them? The hurt, the past, and the absurdity that he didn't even want to think about. Jiangzhua couldn't figure out where his problem was. He really wanted to ask her. Was it his fault that he didn't know how to like someone? Now it was proven. It was his fault that he didn't know how to like someone. Because he had never cherished or trusted anyone. However, there was only one person whom he was completely good to. Jiang Zuo lowered his eyes. He was a businessman. They were around the same age. But his way of thinking was different. Compared to their beauty, he seemed to only be left with benefits. No matter what he did, he had to consider the gains and losses first. How did he grow up? Ever since his mother died, he guarded the Jiang family. Those women who wanted to marry his father. If he wasn't a person who considered the gains and losses, how could he deal with them? He wouldn't allow anyone to touch the Jiang family's things. It wasn't because he liked being the young master of the Jiang family. It was because these things originally belonged to his mother. So, in the future, he would be alone again. Jiang Zuo lowered his head and laughed. This time, he didn't do things his way. Except that he didn't want to force her. And there was another point. Maybe a long time ago, he was already alone. It was him who always lived in the past. He remembered when he was 10 years old. On Christmas, Qin Mo stood at their doorstep. The person who usually didn't touch anything would decorate the Christmas tree like a little artist. This was a foreign holiday and it had nothing to do with them. Besides, the Qin family valued the Chinese season more. It was just a small habit. Ever since he knew Qin Mo, he would come once a year. At that time, he asked him, "Why do you always do these things?" Qin Mo said, "Someone likes it." He didn't need to look to know. Someone, but that person isn't here. Qin Mo looked up, his gaze unchanged. She isn't here now. As long as I wait here, she will come back one day. At that time, rather than saying that he admired Qin Mo, it was more like he was envious that he had such a person who could wait. Standing in the same spot, that person could see him the moment he turned his head. Many people said that it was not easy to stand still. Because no one could keep themselves unchanged. Yes, Qin Mo hadn't changed after so many years. Even after what happened to him, some things didn't change. But does anyone know? Some people had left, and that was it. She would never look back to see what she had left behind. Because everyone was becoming stronger and stronger. To create a new life. But there was only Qin Mo. She looked back. She even ran. He kept retreating. It was all for the sake of finding Qin Mo. After knowing that Z was the person that Qin Mo had been waiting for all these years, he couldn't help but sigh. Jiang Zuo was envious. He hadn't changed either. But he didn't know how to cherish it. Therefore, no one would turn back for him. Jiang Zuo turned around and walked in the opposite direction of the dormitory. He didn't hear Yao Yao's rejection. His voice seemed to have faded away in his ears. Chapter 1686. Jiang Zuo stopped in his tracks. As though he couldn't believe his ears. She lifted her eyes. Before Shui Yao Yao could say anything, she was pulled into his arms by the other party. This was the female dormitory. Moreover, School Hunk Kai had just confessed. The surrounding people hadn't left yet. They covered their mouths when they saw the scene. What's going on? Li Tao was confused. The only one who was conscious was Shui Yao Yao. She felt his body temperature, it was abnormally high. She pushed him. Jiang Zuo smiled, as though he didn't care. He knew he would be pushed away but he still wanted to hug her, probably because he needed some strength to walk out. But before he could move, Shui Yao Yao grabbed his wrist. What's wrong with you? Why did you come out before your fever subsided? Jiang Zuo's peach blossom eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of light, it was beautiful. Are you concerned about me now? You are my brother, even if we aren't related by blood. Shui Yao Yao glanced up. Jiang Zuo leaned against the tree, still looking handsome. I don't want to be your brother. Tell me, why did Auntie Shui marry me and stop me from chasing you? Shui Yaoyao paused. That joke isn't funny. How is it a joke? Jiang Zuo lowered his lids. I like you, don't you know that? Shui Yaoyao looked at him. You didn't think about chasing me then, I was so fat, didn't you? You told everyone that you weren't close to me. Because I knew Auntie Shui was going to be my stepmother. Jiang Zuo's lips were pale. I was a jerk but I wanted to chase you, it wasn't a joke. Who else did you think gave you the flowers? Shui Yaoyao froze. You gave me the sky full of stars. Jiang Zuo chuckled. Didn't you say no one celebrated your birthday? Shui Yaoyao clenched her fingers. Why didn't you say that before? Because I felt that you betrayed me. Jiang Zuo lowered his voice. You knew that I hated those who got close to my father but you didn't tell me that Auntie Shui had a boyfriend, that he was my father. Shui Yaoyao opened her mouth. That was true. At the end of the day, she was afraid that he would hate her, so she didn't tell him immediately. I only knew one day earlier than you. Shui Yaoyao was telling the truth. She was really weak at that time, but she had thought about telling him the next day. But that day, her brother started to have a stomachache, so she had to send him to the drip. When she saw Jiang Zuo again, someone had dug out her diary and pasted it on the school newspaper. Everyone in the school knew that she had fallen in love with a high and mighty senior. People said that she was a toad trying to eat swan meat, and that she should not be a demon when she was so ugly and fat. She had only written those thoughts for him to read. She was well aware of the distance between them. I didn't have any real thoughts. At that time, Shui Yaoyao only wanted to make this person her goal. When it was announced, she really wanted to run away. And he didn't even look at her. She thought he hated being liked by someone as fat as her. Only then would it be that kind of performance. It was like the nightmare that kept appearing after she fell in love with him, and then it became real. So it wasn't? Was there something else? Chapter 1687. Jiang Zuo replied. It wasn't until a long time later that I understood that you couldn't control Auntie Shui's marriage to the Jiang family because I couldn't either. It's all in the past. Shui Yaoyao glanced over, seemingly taking a deep breath. Let's go to the infirmary first. Jiang Zuo lowered his lids, not moving. It's not in the past with me because I still like you. Shui Yaoyao's fingers paused. Jiang Zuo looked at her and stretched his hand out, his voice a little low. We signed a contract previously and I want to renew it. This time, you can set the rules and I can do anything you want. If you think I was a jerk previously, you can vent your anger. But you have to be mine. Are you willing to renew this contract? Shui Yaoyao didn't speak. Jiang Zuo stood there, feeling the weight of his hand hanging in the air. 1 second. 2 seconds. Almost 10 seconds passed. Jiang Zuo roughly knew her attitude but he wasn't willing to accept it. His heart felt like it was soaked in ice water. It felt empty and cold. Just as he was about to lose all hope. Too many scenes flashed through Shui Yaoyao's mind. In the end, it stopped at the scene where he called her Fat Yaoyao. Hence, Jiang Zuo's hand was about to hang down when Shui Yaoyao suddenly raised it. She seemed a little impulsive. If you renew the contract, if I get fat again, it's better if you get fat again, then no one will snatch you from me. Jiang Zuo was faster to cut her off. Shui Yaoyao's eyes lit up. You know I have an inferiority complex and my thoughts run wild. You should also know that I look fickle and easily attract women. You have to be wary of them. Jiang Zuo lowered his lids. Just be wary of them, don't be wary of me. Shui Yaoyao couldn't help but laugh. Because of your looks? At the very start, he had complained about this on the rooftop. It's because we have money now. It could be said that young Master Jiang was very straightforward. Shui Yaoyao glanced over. I can't guarantee I will be like before, let's try again. You want to return the goods after a bad test? Jiang Zhua felt a tinge of bitterness in his heart, but it was more of a new lease of life. I won't let you have that chance. Shui Yaoyao chuckled lightly. Maybe other girls will give me this chance. For example, when they get close to you, it's not impossible that you can't control yourself. At this moment, Jiang Zhua pulled her into his arms, lowered his body slightly, and whispered in her ear, "We've been together for so long and you've slept in my office before. Have you ever seen my secretary with a girl?" When Shui Yaoyao heard this, the back of her neck turned red. No. Jiang Zhua seemed to have hugged her gently, his tone carrying a sigh. It has always been only you, I have always only had you. Shui Yaoyao knew that she couldn't get rid of this person no matter what. Fortunately, things were different now. Now, when she heard these words, she would not lose her rationality. His heart could still beat, and there was a slight sweetness in it. So this was what it looked like when you liked someone just right. Indeed, he couldn't let go of what happened in the past. She didn't even know how far they could go. He was trying to give himself a chance. If there was no other way, he could truly let go of the past. Chapter 1688. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they didn't quite understand. What exactly did the two of them say? In the end, someone said that the teaching assistant had a fever, and as the sister, she must have been worried and couldn't care less about the school hunk's confession. As for the hug, it was easy to explain. After all, the teaching assistant had always cared about his sister. Only Yang, who was standing there, knew what was going on. Yao Yao had rejected him decisively because the reason was obvious. And he knew that even without Jiang Zhua, Yao Yao wouldn't have accepted him. He still felt indignant. But what could he do even if he was indignant? Feelings weren't something that could be forced. That was probably the difference between Yang and Jiang Zhua. From the start, Jiang Zhua had been forceful towards Shui Yaoyao. Perhaps it wasn't appropriate to use such forcefulness on others. But it was just right for Yao Yao. And because of Jiang Zhua's forcefulness, there was a continuation of the relationship. In a relationship, the person who was forceful was sometimes the person with the purest and deepest feelings. After Jiang Zhua's injection, Shui Yaoyao returned to the dormitory. When they first got together, they weren't as close as everyone thought. Even though Jiang Zhua couldn't bear to let her go, he had to send her away. The moment Shui Yaoyao entered the dormitory, Li Tao walked over in confusion. "Yao Yao, why didn't you accept senior?" "Because we aren't compatible." Shui Yaoyao chuckled lightly as she walked forward. Li Tao scratched her head. "I think you and senior are quite compatible. Besides, the department belle came to you because of senior. It's really unexpected that you rejected her like that." "What's unexpected?" The person lying on the upper bunk turned over. Yao Yao said she wasn't interested in the school hunk. "Why, senior is so nice." Li Tao's gaze was low, her voice heavy. Shui Yaoyao glanced up at her. "I have someone else in my heart. We had a misunderstanding in the past, but now, we are at the stage of reconciliation." "Someone else? Who?" Li Tao and her roommates exchanged glances, confused. They hadn't seen Yao Yao's messages. Why was there someone else? Shui Yaoyao brought the toiletries over. "You will know in the future. I'm going to take a shower first before there's no hot water." There would be no hot water in the dormitory during the designated time. Shui Yaoyao wasn't lying. Someone was still waiting for Li Tao's message. "What do you think? Was there any progress? Why did Junior Yao Yao reject our fourth brother?" Li Tao replied, "Yao Yao said she already has someone in her heart." "Damn. No way, I always thought it was just an excuse Yao Yao used to block off the other girls." I didn't think there would really be such a person. Who else in C University could be more popular with girls than 4? I really can't think of anyone. Li Tao replied again, teaching assistant Jiang is more likable. Okay, I know you are Brother Jiang's fans. Brother Jiang definitely knows who it is. After all, they are siblings. After saying this, the man glanced at Lao Si, who was drinking, raised his hand, and dialed a string of numbers. Hello. Jiang Zhua had just finished dealing with the work that had been transferred over. His thin lips were still a little pale. Brother Jiang, if you and Junior Yao Yao are siblings, you should know everything about her, right? Chapter 1689. Yao Yao and I don't have the same surname, you know that, right? Jiang Zhua's voice was indescribably nonchalant. The person on the other end replied, yes, we follow our father's and mother's surnames, we think it's quite fashionable. Fashionable? Jiang Zhua laughed softly. We aren't related by blood, that's why our surnames are different. The person on the other end paused. Not related by blood? Yes, Yao Yao and I are re-establishing a family. Jiang Zhua's peach blossom eyes lit up. We've known each other for 3 years, Auntie Shui married my dad for less than a year and Yao Yao has a biological brother who calls me brother. The person on the other end of the line couldn't hold on to his phone. That's the case. Jiang Zhua chuckled lightly. But I do know everything about her, ask whatever you want to. That person thought that although the secret he knew was too big, he was still shocked. But he had to ask what he had to ask. Junior Yao Yao said she has someone else in her heart and rejected Si Li because of this. Brother Jiang, who is this person? Do you know? Jiang Zhua's eyes deepened and he didn't beat around the bush. I know, it's me. The person on the other end, there was a moment of silence. His tongue was in a knot. It's you? He wanted to hang up, what should he do? Jiang Zhua's voice drifted over again. There was a misunderstanding between us because my dad wanted to marry her mother. I always felt that they got close to us for money and I don't want to be her sister. Before I came, everything had been resolved. Now that I've been legally removed from my father's name, it's legal for me to be with her and I don't have to worry so much. But she's a girl and it's different. I hope that she won't announce this news. If you can keep it to yourself, try not to. There are many people in the school and they don't know what is going on. When the time comes, they will only say that she shouldn't be with me since we are reorganizing our family. The person on the other end of the line didn't know what to do, the impact was too huge. Jiang Zhua's smile was low. If it's because of your Si Li, then there's no need. He's so smart, he should already know, so I hope you can keep this a secret. The person opened his mouth. What are you doing now? We have already reconciled. Jiang Zhua's voice was faint. Didn't I say from the start that I came here because of her? That person coughed lightly. Brother Jiang, I'm not a girl, so don't release your charm. When are you guys going to stop like this? Junior Yao Yao is so popular. Won't you feel insecure if you don't publicize it? Moreover, there are more people who like you. It's easy for misunderstandings to arise between the two of you. Break up. This question was a little harsh and realistic. Jiang Zhua clenched his fists, his gaze faint. We'll talk about the rest when her life is stable. That person shook his head. Brother Jiang, I feel that you're quite pitiful now. You have a girlfriend, but you can't go public. You're even worse than us single dogs who don't have a girlfriend. Luckily, if you still have to show off your love to Junior Yao Yao when you're teaching us, then fourth brother really doesn't want to do research anymore. Brother Jiang, to be honest, are you worried that someone will confess to Junior Yao Yao every day? Jiang Zhua paused. That person didn't expect him to admit it so directly. Then, he smiled faintly, I'm not just afraid of that. Shui Yaoyao nodded and looked at them again. It has nothing to do with him. Wait, I have a call coming in. The person who called was the laboratory, saying that they wanted to add a test at the last minute. After Shui Yaoyao hung up, she didn't even have time to eat the cake. She grabbed her bag and rushed out of the dorm. Her roommates are dumbfounded. Who did Yaoyao make an appointment with today? Because it was a temporary test. There weren't many people there. Moreover, when Shui Yaoyao was testing the details of the game, she forgot everything. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.